and when I wrote it, people said, yeah, well, that's very nice of you, Peter, but no one will ever buy it. There are now about 3,500 copies knocking around in Britain. And I had a really interesting letter from a guy in Antwerp today. There's a whole movement that's going on of flat-pack democracy through Belgium and into Holland. I'm going to Holland, going to Amsterdam in a couple of weeks. Because going back to the beginning, I think there is a really, really massive concern about this level of democracy not functioning. And there's a real opportunity with groups like this to take control. And it doesn't have to be, as my colleagues have said, it doesn't have to be, complicated. I mean, I'm an undertaker, and I've never done anything like this before in my life. And I still get nervous standing here. And it doesn't have to be something which has all sorts of background and skills. And, ordinary people can do this. And also can do it for a short period of time. So you can do it for 4 years and then stop doing it, I think. There's this, I don't understand how so many councillors seem to get in at 40 and still be there at 80. Which is, there's something seriously wrong when that's happening. There has to be a turnover. I realised the other day, for us there are 4 schools in Frome which have way, way bigger budgets than the council. There's the health centre and the hospital. So there's 6 or 7 organisations which have much bigger budgets than the town council. So, actually being a governor of the school is probably just as important as being a councillor. They're just roles that we need to share out amongst the community and get done. And somehow we've got to this thing that politicians are important. And, I see it as a role to play in a community. But somehow we've elevated them to a point which is way off the top. And then as a result, a lot of politicians behave really, really badly. Which we don't need reminding of, do we? Anyway, I think I'm going to shut up now. That's probably enough. There was a letter from John Clark, but we'll maybe come back to that, who's the Lib Dem chairman, who raised some points. But, if you raise them as well, or if it seems relevant, I'll answer them when we get into the next bit. So, hopefully that just gives you a sense that, by being ambitious you can get things done, and I wish you luck. Thanks.
Thank you very much indeed, Peter. That was absolutely fascinating. And I can see actually tonight we've got Labour and Conservative and Greens in the audience. I don't think we have any Lib Dems because it's their annual general meeting and they're listening to Vince Cable. I bet he's not as much fun. One of the dangers that we found is that in this kind of thing is that you end up speaking in a vacuum, and that's what we don't want to try and do. We want to find how things can and should work in the real world. And so now we come to the Q&A. Please remember, I don't need to say this, but I will. We don't want to listen to personal attacks, political rants, unless they're Don, or party political speeches. If people start on one of those, we do reserve the right to ask them to stop, and we'll move on to the next questioner. Our aim tonight is to try and get a feeling from the meeting as to whether you feel that truly independent council members would or could achieve more for Portishead than a council which divides on national party political lines. We'll take a vote by show of hands at the end of the Q&A. And if you could start when you ask a question by giving your name and whether you're a Portishead resident, we'd be very grateful. So, who would like to start? Caritas.
Hi, my name's Darren. Sorry. Hi, my name's Caritas. I'm a Portishead resident, one of those incomers from the marina. I thank all the speakers and the people who've organised this. It's been truly inspirational, and thank you very much for doing this. One of the things, I've been to Frome, because I love the market you guys do, it's absolutely awesome. One of the things that concerns me is I get the impression from Frome that as a group, you campaign for what Frome can be, and what would concern me from a lot of the really valid points I hear tonight is that people campaign with what's wrong. And that's good, but I also think you need a sense of what can be, what is the positive and what is the future. So I think you have to have both sides of that coin. And I'd just like to ask from our friend from Frome, practically, how did you guys go about getting out there and getting known?
Read my book. Actually, that is the answer partly, because I wrote it. It's called, Creating Independent a DIY Guide to Creating Independent Politics. So it is in there. It's a lot of what Don said at the beginning. Is we were people who were known in the community anyway, I suppose, in that sense, or many of us were, and that's been particularly good because this is truer the second time around than the first. But possibly, like here, there are people there are incomers and not incomers, if you like, and we now have a majority of people who've lived all their lives in Frim, which is brilliant. So we have that sense. It is just being known, and yeah, I won't. There is a whole chunk in here of how to begin to get known. We do use social media, or did use social media, and do a lot. And we made a great effort to reach new voters. We did a lot of registering of voters, which was nice because it's we did it completely non-politically and just, are you registered to vote? And then it was a way of getting into conversations with people, which you can do there's something called a ProDEM period when you're not meant to, certain places around town couldn't be involved in politics and so on. So by registering voters, it's very non-contentious and it's very useful.
That's the lady there. Oh.
Hello, my name's Sarah Jackson. I've lived in Portishead for 10 years. I'm not in the marina, just so you know. My question really was related to, some of you might know me. I originally got involved in local politics when we campaigned for more play equipment at the lake grounds, and I'm very pleased to say that we were successful in that, and that was a group effort. But I kind of took a step back after that. I've got young children. I find it hard to get to the town council meetings. They're always at night, so that's one thing. But I took a step back because it was very difficult at the town council level, quite supportive. My question to you is, how does your town council relate to the district council? Because our main adversary for the play equipment was the ubiquitous David Passley, who basically hated me on sight and tried to stop me talking every time I came up with statistics, because I'm a researcher by trade, and he didn't seem to like that because I knew how to do participation and engagement, which apparently town councils around here struggle with. But some people on the town council were very helpful, and it was that, what's your relationship and how do we move forward potentially as a town council in developing, changing our relationship with higher authorities? Because I don't know how that would be done.
No, and I may, I'll say something and then I might hand over to Janet, because when people ask me, so what have you got wrong? One of my answers is our relationship with the district council. At the beginning, we thought, well, they hated us. It was a disaster for them. Well, not a disaster. They really, really didn't understand what they were doing, and they really didn't like it. So we got off to a terribly bad start. In that sense. So they didn't like what we'd done at all. And then as we became more effective and got better known, that became worse. And then we went down we tried to be nice, honestly. We tried really, really hard to be nice. And then when that didn't work, we started taking the piss. And then when that didn't work, we started being more actively nasty, and none of it worked. And actually, what we didn't realise is that we did realise, but they've got a lot of power. They've got planning. They control planning. And in our case, they completely clearly, and there was no pretense about it, put everything that was to do with Froome on the bottom of the pile. And then as we got more aggressive, they left it there. So quite a number of things got really badly held up. So actually after the second group of us got in, I took over as leader from the male who'd been leading the Pitchfork Rebellion. And I started off trying to be really nice, but I couldn't do it. Well, I couldn't grovel as much as was required. There was so much grovelling that was necessary. It was just awful. So now we're in a sort of situation where we kind of ignore each other, which sort of works. And as I say, we've tried to get money elsewhere, but I'm not really the person to answer because we haven't got it right. And we're on the Mendip District Council, which is, they have a tiny cabinet who control everything, within a large number of Tories. It's really awful, actually. I mean, my only hope is that they cease to exist fairly soon. But Janet, do you have the same district council instead? Claire, sorry. Yeah.
Well, I could write a book. As far as I'm concerned, the people that had mentioned ever getting into the office of Nigel Ashton when I was just a lowly backbencher, they told me it was like going into the headmaster's office and being told off. And I was determined when I became chair of council that I would show what partnership really was. That I could meet with somebody and talk about the things that I knew our town needed and offer to help our district council offer and give what our town needed, because that's the way it should be. And actually, the first time I met Mr. Ashton, I got on quite well. But I failed at the next hurdle because I happened to be at a funeral and he said, we must have a chat. And obviously he meant in his time right away. And because I said, yes, at the end of the funeral we'll get together. It didn't seem the right place. And he never spoke to me again. But nevertheless, I feel I don't want to sort of tell tales. The thing is that there are problems because we have this executive system in North Somerset, and it seems to me that the power has got into a very small group, people's hands. And the strange thing is about the political party that is in power, both in the country and in our district, they don't seem to get on. And that I don't understand the differences and difficulties that particular party have with each other. So it is hardly surprising that somebody that may be independent doesn't find it easy to form a relationship. Now, in our council, we've had a few battles because we want to provide, a place of well-being for our town. And it's in a building that has been owned by North Somerset District Council for many years. It's been used as a community building, and really, I don't feel that we should have to pay market price for a building that's been a community use, because it belongs to the residents of North Somerset Council, and they happen to be residents of Nailsea as well. But no, we have to pay that money to get our hands on this building. And although I don't want to pay it, I am so happy that I could persuade the council to do so, just to be free of North Somerset Council, so that we can make our own decisions. And likewise, on a piece of land that we own, we're paying an awful lot of money to get rid of a covenant on it so that it can be used for something else. And it's been a real battle to get our own councillors, as you can understand, to hand over a